no matter where you're working, it's the same reality. We're working harder and longer for less. And that's got to change. And Chrysler was in bankruptcy in GM back in the Great Recession in 2008, 2009. 70% of the Americans were saying, let them fail. And I remember going back to my hometown telling our workers, 70% of your neighbors say, let us fail. And the reason being was we really weren't talking about our issues. Nowadays, probably most people in this room believe that those companies filed for bankruptcy because of our pensions and our wages and all those things. None of that shit had anything to do with why they were in bankruptcy. But that's what was fed to people. And the leadership of the union didn't do a good enough job of talking about the issues back then. They weren't vocal about it. So what we've done differently now is we talk about our issues. We talk about the realities people are going through. And you go to our stand-up strike, what went on there, we were very vocal, very in people's face, very public about all the issues. And the thing we saw was, every time we talked, it wasn't just a UAW issue, it's a working class issue. Everyone's living the same reality. Whether you're working in a university, whether you're working in a restaurant, no matter where you're working, it's the same reality. We're working harder and longer for less. And that's got to change. And 75% of Americans supported us in that fight. So you think about that. Without talking about our issues, without running campaigns, without being vocal and putting this out there and being in people's face, being public, 70% said, let us fail. When you're vocal about it, 75% said, we're with these guys. Everywhere I go now, people talk about that. And so we've got to figure out how we galvanize labor and we stand with this. And we've got to get to the point where, where auto workers are willing to walk out because they're screwing workers in higher education, and vice versa. That's where we've got to get working class people, because when we get to that point, we have the power. That is what everything we're talking about is about. It's about power and control.